It's Dee Dee on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to my guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Bobby Ayers on the show. He's a drummer from the band
Yo,
The Keepsake. Bobby, how are you doing?
doing great. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing great. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory of what got you into music and what are your inspirations?
All right, so that's weird. It's a weird question, and of course, people don't know we've already been through this once today. Uh, so there really wasn't any inspiration. I mean, when I was a kid, actually, I didn't think about this. When I was a kid, my mom's side, they were in a mariachi band.
Mhm.
So I've dealt with music my whole life, but once we got away from them, it was a huge like no thing. I wasn't allowed to listen to certain music. It was literally just Poison, Guns N' Roses, and Aerosmith in my house, and nothing else. Everything else was sacrilegious. So school came around. I went to band and just auditioned for drums just to do something during school, and it all just came together supernaturally, and I just kept with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what inspired you to become a drummer?
It's very empowering, I guess. It's a very good feeling to get up in front of people and play something that is so important in everything it does.
Mhm.
So
So when it
that's
comes to being a drummer too, it's also somewhat of an underappreciated role when it comes to fans or when it comes to the popularity of the music. How do you deal with that, knowing that you do constitute such a huge part in a band? You are the backbone, basically. You keep the beat down, you make sure everything goes smoothly, and yet you don't really get the recognition most of the time that like a lead singer gets or a main guitarist gets.
I don't know. I've never thought about that. I've never really cared about it. I know what I do. So if people can't, it's whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, but when we play shows, I have people come up to me all the time. They're like, "It's fucking sick. It's tight. You guys were super tight. You were good. Your drums sound good." I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." So I've never really had to deal with people not saying something to me.
Yeah. How do you deal with that extra added pressure? Because, like I said before, I mean, if you mess up, the whole band kind of messes up because you lay down the beat and you make sure that everything goes smoothly. Does that give you an extra added sense of pressure? And if so, how do you deal with that?
It definitely has pressure before the show, especially if you're not running backing tracks like the Keepsake. We don't have backing tracks yet, so we don't have a system to run clicks to everyone. So the way some of our songs are, it's kind of useless for me to have a click when the song dips out and the guitarist doesn't know where the click's at. Um, but I've gotten super lucky, and our bassist and myself have played together for the past 7 years,
Hmm.
so we keep each other in check. So it's in between both of us. Like if I speed up, he'll give me a look, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I get you, and we'll steady it back out. So we got our own thing going on, and we're just constantly in that zone of having to know how fast each song is supposed to fill and keeping in contact with each other, while at the same time keeping our energy up for people out in the crowd.
Yeah. So the Keepsake isn't your first band. Could you kind of give us a little bit of a backstory on what your history has been so far when it comes to bands?
No, I don't want to. All right, the first band I ever experienced was with a church band, very very religious setting. It was for a youth group, and I was really just there to help the kids, and I was kind of older than them. They were probably 14, 15 at the time. I was like 17, 18, so there was a little age gap. Um, but it was weird. It was really weird to play "Jesus Loves You" in a contemporary Christian rock band. After that was "Avoid the Spiral," which it was really fun. It was a really great project. We're hoping to do some more stuff soon. That's really like prog rocky. Um, but they were great. I was with them for years, and that's actually where me and my bassist met, is through them, and we just everything that we've come to be so far is because of that. So it's just a great project that we were a part of.
So when you were starting out with the Keepsake, what was the biggest difficulty that you had to overcome personally joining that particular band, and how did you overcome it?
I didn't really have any difficulties. I don't know. I'm super awkward. My audition, I showed up and I was actually there before anybody else in the band was, besides the bassist at the time, because it was her house. So I pulled up outside and I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the place. All the doors are closed. It looks like everyone in the house is asleep. So I messaged Barry and I was like, I don't want to go walk in just by myself. I mean, the first day we met, everything just clicked with all of us. We all have very similar views most of the time, and we're all just kind of on the same wavelength. So besides like work and general life stuff, it was all super easy.
Did you find that their music was super easy to pick up on, or was it maybe a different new type of genre that you had to learn, or was it the same type of stuff that you've always been playing?
It definitely wasn't the type of stuff. So, I mean, if someone goes and listens to Capsize, that one's definitely more post-hardcore kind of stuff. I've never professionally played anything like that. But that's the type of music I've listened to growing up. So, like, from the time I was, like, 16 and beyond that, that's when I really got into different bands. And one of the biggest inspirations of the Keepsake is Silverstein, which is one of my all-time favorites that I go to. So it was all just in my head, just ready to come out. So it wasn't too hard to get used to.
So now you mentioned before that Poison and all those hair bands were huge growing up. Poison, Guns N' Roses. Have you taken any of that style of music when it comes to your drumming style? Just from having that being ingrained in you from a young age?
Maybe. Yeah. I've never thought about that. It's definitely, it could be. I would hate myself if it's true though. I can't have that happening. I know one of our newest songs is not recorded yet. We've only played it once live and it's super poppy. And now that I think about it, the chorus has a very heavy hair metal backbeat to it. So it's possible. Subconsciously, I'm just fucking myself up.
I personally, I love Poison just because I didn't have it like ingrained in my head. Like I just came to it. So I enjoy a couple of their songs, but yeah, I can see they're definitely one of those bands where if I had forced on me, after a while I'd be like, I fucking hate these guys so much. Like, don't ever have me listen to that ever again. But when you joined the band, were they very flexible when it came to your, maybe, because obviously each drummer has a different style, how minuscule it may be, but were they very flexible when it came to adjusting to your style of play?
Yeah, honestly, so I've played a lot of genres, and I've made it a point when I started getting more serious into drumming when I was like 18, 19. I was like, I want to actually do something with this. I made it a point to go through and just learn as many styles as I could and kind of be, I don't want to say proficient with all of them, but just like knowledge of everything. So when I go to play with new people, you know, I'll ask a couple of them, like I'll ask a guitarist and a bass player to play around, you know, do something they like, and I'll kind of form into it and then go with them. Mm-hmm. So that way meshing my style and someone else's style together is never too big of an issue.
We love to hear first show stories. What was the first show that you performed with the Keepsake, and where was it at and how'd it go?
Oh, man. My first show with the Keepsake was literally like 2 weeks after I joined. It may have been longer, it may have been a month. But I know I only practiced with them 2.5 times, really. Where was it? I know it was in Carrollton, Georgia, at the Alley Cat, I'm pretty sure is what that place was called. We played with these great guys. I don't know where they're from. They're called Empty. They are phenomenal. They're great people. I love them to death. That show was a mess, though. Just mainly on my part, and dude, I didn't know the parts well enough, so I was like playing, and then I was obviously like looking at people like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. I was like, I just hope it's right. But I don't know, overall it went okay. There was nothing crazy happened, so it was fun. It was just like a fun, just like jam basically. Because I had no fucking clue what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can only imagine if it's only been like a couple of weeks afterwards, that must have been really, really tough. But did you find that performance, being that it was a little bit on the rough side, that really helped? Because it was kind of one of those things where you kind of think to yourself, hey, it can't really get worse than this, so there's only one way to go is up. Did that really kind of have a big thing on your confidence?
Yeah, that was no, I wouldn't say on my confidence, because I was pretty bummed out about it. But Barry was super excited about it, and our guitarist Alex, he was super stoked about it, because like you said, it was like nowhere else can it go but up from here. Like there's no way for us to drop past that level, and if we do, something is terribly wrong. So it helped them a lot be just like way more comfortable with what I was bringing to them. Which,
what have the crowds usually been like at the venues that you've played? Have they been very, very receptive to you guys, or has it kind of taken a while for them to get used to it? What's that been like?
So I don't know how to explain it. The Atlanta scene is super, super welcoming. And everyone, literally everyone in Atlanta loves Barry. So it's always receptive. Everyone's always just right up at the stage or dancing or moving. Everything's always super energetic, and we get to feed off of that. Barry gets to feed off of that. So it's always been fantastic. Like even the first show I played with them, people were receptive to what we were doing. So
one of the things that I learned when I first started out this podcast is that I'm close to Minneapolis, and I realized that Minneapolis just has a huge, huge, huge metal scene that I would have never guessed. I mean, people think about Minnesota, Minneapolis, they think about Prince and kind of more pop music. What would you describe the main genre of music down in Atlanta? Does it have a main genre, or is it a good mix?
Come on. Everyone knows Atlanta brings the best hip hop, R&B, and rap artists from the Southeast. Past that, I mean, it's everything. There's so much around here, and I wouldn't say it's all because of Atlanta. It's Nashville, it's Atlanta, it's people coming from Alabama that don't have a way to get recognized over there. So everything's just melting in Atlanta, and great artists just pop up all the time.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, I had to ask. I knew about the whole hip hop thing, but I was like, yeah, I had to ask. That's just like asking a guy from Tennessee what the dominant genre was, or Nashville, and you're like, it's country, dumbass. Yeah, exactly. So
go down to the Strip and see how many fucking country bars are fucking on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you find it hard, at least being in the band? I mean, I know that you joined them recently, but did you guys, from talking to members, did you guys find it hard to sort of establish yourself, establish a name, not being a part of the hip hop genre because it's so dominant in Atlanta?
No, not really. Like we blew up. I don't want to say we blew up. We didn't blow up, but we blew up in a local sense, because I mean, metal musicians in Atlanta have a great fucking community that it's just there for everybody. There's always all sorts of promotion going on. Even people who aren't like a part of it are like seeing it. So it's always it's really easy right now, especially for what we're doing. I mean, there was like last year there was a weird black metal surge that died off. I think, I don't know what happened to them. So I'm not sure. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Have you guys gone on tour yet, or are there any plans to do a tour?
I don't want to say too much about that.
TBD, no, everyone.
No tour yet. We are working on an EP, which hopefully will be released super soon. I can't give a date on that. So right now it's all local shows. We're just trying to get the name out there in a broader aspect to kind of see where we're hitting off. Because I mean, say we do tour, we don't want to route a tour through somewhere where we're not receptive. So we're trying to be super tactical about it, while at the same time trying to have fun. We were actually talking about this earlier today, because I told them, I was like, we can't. I had to lay out a plan.
So when it comes to this day and age, I mean, with social media and promotion, it's everything. How do you sort of maintain a balance where you just don't get absolutely overwhelmed by the whole social media aspect when it comes to promoting and getting your name out there?
You would have to ask Barry that one. He is the social media savant. I think he actually just spends all day on social media. I don't know how he does it. In my personal experience, I just kind of let it flow for like a couple of hours at a time. I'll take a break, just like a job, and then come back to it. And if I miss something, I miss something. I would have to have someone come back and and be like, hey, you didn't read this fucking message, you idiot. I'm like, all right, you got it. I'll take care of it. So, but yeah, Barry's all over it. He's always talking to people. He's always tagging the Keepsake and stuff. I have to see it on my Facebook feed every time he does it. It's like every 5 minutes. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's one thing that I found out too with this podcast. I mean, it's all about who you know, and making connections is 99% of the battle when it comes to just getting your name out there and just being nice to everyone. I mean, if you're nice to everyone, people are generally going to be nice back and really going to help you out. So, one of the big things that I like to ask on this podcast is performing live, like that thrill in that just being able to express yourself. Not many people get to experience that. Not too many people, first of all, have the guts to go on live and perform. But what is that feeling like for you specifically, going on live stage, having people cheer for you, and knowing that all of your hard-earned practice that you guys have done, you guys practice songs a million times, that's finally paying off? What does that feel like for you?
Oh, man. To sum it up, you would have to see us play Capsized live, because as soon as there's an initial like breakdown thing that fucking hits, and every time we've played it live, I've just let out this stupid high pitched woo right on the downbeat,
like a Little Richard woo.
Ah, man, I don't know who Little Richard is. You can't fuck me up with names I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know Little Richard?
I don't know anybody, man. I'm not that guy. Sorry. Let you down. We'll just end it here.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm just gonna give you a heads up. Little Richard, basically, he was a big guy in the '50s, and every band behind ever since him, like, they stole a lot of his material, and like even the Beatles stole like 5 of his songs and like released them. So like he's the godfather of like music writing, basically. I'll send you a link to him afterwards, and then you'll realize like, oh my god, I'm a real big fucking idiot. No offense, no offense.
No, you're fine.
No offense. So when you're performing live and you let out that ooh, is that just you like a blind euphoria that you get to release?
It's just having a good time, dude. Because Capsize is one of our most receptive songs. People get down to it. It's fantastic. So it's just more of just like a thing I've done just to know everyone, to let everyone know that we're having a good time as much as they're having a good time. Other than that, I don't really see the crowd so much. Sometimes I'll look up, but I'm really focused in on just playing and trying to give them the best that I can. But it's all super powerful. Like I'll get done with a show and there's so much adrenaline going that I'll have more energy after the show than I had beforehand, and it's insane. It's a crazy feeling.
When you're performing, does time seem to speed up or stand still, or is it kind of a mixture of both?
It depends on the song. For me, Capsize seems to go on super long, but it's a very short song. And then we have like 5-minute songs that go by super quick. That like I feel like I rush through, but then like I'll watch back and be like, no, we were actually super close to the original, BPM. So it's strange. Like sometimes I'll also make eye contact with people. I've done this a couple of times, and I'll just kind of stare them down, and everything seems to slow down. And as soon as they notice, they'll do like a little wave, and I'm just sitting there like on the china or something. I'll just wave back, and it's just like I just go on with it.
Have there been ever? Now you don't have to admit this, but I've always just wondered deep down. Have there ever been times when like a song is about to start, and you're like, oh my god, I'm like super exhausted, and maybe if I play this just like a tenth faster, the song will get done a little bit quicker. So then I go ahead and do it.
Man, I feel like if I was exhausted, I would play it slower.
Oh yeah.
But no, I have been super exhausted at the end of a set, and I think we were starting some song. It's written at 170 BPM.
Oh wow.
And that's counted at 8 notes, so it's not crazy. Oh man.
I was gonna say if it wasn't 8 note, that's like an Iron Maiden song right there.
But I'm pretty sure I played that shit at like 180, 190 maybe. Wow. Yeah, it was terrible for me, and after the set, I just kind of like fell out behind the stage. Just like I'm done.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that too? Because most people don't realize drumming is by far the most physically demanding aspect of a band. I mean, the amount of stamina that you need to have is unbelievable. Do you just get that stamina through practice, or is it something that you're kind of born to do, where you're just born to be able to bang on stuff for extended periods of time?
I wish I was born to do it. No, it's definitely keeping yourself healthy, and knowing your technique and knowing what your body can do while you're playing. Because I mean, I'll play some shows where I'll just forget I'm having too good of a time. 3 songs in, I'm like, I'm fucking tired. I've been moving too much. So it all goes down to just managing yourself and maybe, keeping yourself kind of healthy. I'm not going to tell people how to live, but like go run or something. Stop smoking.
Yeah. So do you have like any pre-show traditions? I have a lot of bands on here that they talk about like they'll each have like a few shots, or they'll have a couple of beers before each show, or they're all stretch. Do you guys as a band have any traditions, or do you personally have any traditions before you perform, or do you just like to wing it when you get there?
So normally before a show, I'll practice. Just my sticks and a practice pad. I'll warm up my hands. I know we played one show. We opened up for Secrets actually, and my guitarist, or one of our guitarists, got super excited and like pulled us back and made us huddle, and he tried to like make that a thing, and I was like, no, I'll just go take a shot of some liquor or something. Yeah. We won't think about touching each other ever again. So no, we don't as a band, we don't really have anything. I don't know if any of the other guys do anything. I know Chase, the bassist, he'll practice as well. He'll just do some scales in the back to get himself warmed up and make sure all of our gear is ready. So that's really about it. We don't do anything crazy.
Is there a certain checklist like in your mind of what would make a certain show that you guys performed a success? Is it like, oh, we hit all of our notes right, the crowd was really receptive? Is there a certain thing in your mindset where when determining if a show was good or not, it has to meet a certain criteria?
I think the biggest thing we all worry about is the crowd having fun. That's the biggest thing. Like we could, at the end of the day, we could care less if we fucking bombed as long as the crowd had fun. Mm-hmm. And obviously we didn't sound like shit. Like maybe we fucked up mid song and like it was super obvious, but the crowd's still feeling it and whatever. That's what's important, really.
All right, now we go to our most popular part of the segment, the questionnaire that we like to do. It's more of a getting to know you-esque thing where we'll ask you 5 questions, get your answers, and then we'll tally them down. And then I think once we come up to a certain number of podcasts, I'll release all of the lists of what the most popular answers have been. But for our first question...
Hail Satan.
So for our first question, out of all the songs that have ever been written in the history of music, what is one song that you personally wish you would come up with yourself?
Oh God, what's the name of this band, or it's a group? They did. Oh fuck me. I can't think of them now. A song that I wish I came up with. Oh, it's Aha. Take on Me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will still say to this day that guy hits the highest note any guy's ever hit, and it will never be topped. I mean,
it's insane.
He needed to have his balls removed. That's the only way I think he could do it, because and if you watch it live, like there's YouTube videos of him performing it even now today, and he still is able to hit that note. It's amazing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So yeah, and it's one of my favorite songs too. I absolutely love it. So now for our second question, out of all the artists that have ever lived, dead or alive, doesn't matter, you can pick either or. If you could perform live on stage with any artist for one show, who would it be and why?
I'd probably have to play with Periphery, man. Those dudes are super tight. They make great music. Spencer Sotelo himself is a fantastic singer. And I know that's like a super recent artist, but
you gotta support the recent guys for sure, absolutely. So now, out of all the venues on the planet, if you had your pick to play at any venue on the planet, where would you perform?
Man, God. I don't know enough venues for this. Bro. Maybe Madison Square.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's huge.
That is in second place on this list. Madison Square Garden, and then Red Rocks is our number one.
I don't know what Red Rocks is.
I would look it up. It's amazing. It's in Colorado, and it's an outdoor amphitheater that's like it's carved into the rock, so like you're inside of it, and then like you see the entire skyline like just up above it. That
sounds beautiful.
I am literally going to send you a link of a picture of it. It's breathtaking, but I did ban that temporarily from it because out of my first like 15 guests, 11 of them picked Red Rocks. So I was like, okay, either I drop the question or I drop Red Rocks, and I was like, I'll drop Red Rocks from the contention, but I've since allowed it because Madison Square Garden has caught up to it. But now we get to the real nitty gritty. Now we get to the question that really everyone's interested most about. Guilty pleasure song. What is a guilty pleasure song that you enjoy that most people would never guess that you like?
Do you know who Technotronics is?
No, I don't.
Oh man, have you ever heard it? Have you ever heard "Pump It Up"?
Pump it up. I
Pump
probably
up
have.
the jam.
Oh
Pump it
yeah,
up.
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll fucking blast that song.
Space Jam all day.
I blew my car speakers to that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's rough. I don't like bringing that up.
Hey,
My wife doesn't even know that.
we're both around the same age. We both grew up in that era where that was popular when we were kids. Absolutely.
Oh man.
I still remember that on my Jock Jams that I had as a kid when I was when I was like 6 years old, the old Jock Jam CD where they'd have all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. So now for our final question, if there was any artist on the planet who you could, again, I should say it ahead of time, you will not kill this person, but if you could make it so that they'd never produce music, like their entire career would have changed, they would have maybe become like a carpenter or something else, and everyone known would have had any knowledge that they were music inclined at any time, all the music that people would have heard had been wiped out, their entire musical trace would be erased, who would you choose?
Adam Levine.
Adam Levine?
Yeah.
Nice.
That guy's too handsome to be so talented.
That's a good choice too. And let me just say that's the quickest anyone's ever had to answer. Usually people have to, and they're like, "Oh, it's so hard. I don't want to say anyone." I was like, "Just do it." But that's still what's his name? What's his name? He's a rapper, but who was the number one pick? I forgot who his name is, but he's
new.
Post Malone is the guy.
Post Malone.
Yeah, that's
come on, that guy's chill.
I know, but people are just saying that just because he just mumbles.
He don't mumble. You should. I don't know, man.
You're from the close to Atlanta range too. You're close to that hip hop. You're more hip hop inclined. I'm just saying what other people said. We did have a guy in here that said Queen for their band that they'd erased, and I was like, okay.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, screw you, dude. Get the hell out of here.
That's insane.
Yeah,
I was like, petty.
I know it is very, very petty. So what is the future looking like for the band? I mean, I know you said that you guys are working on releasing your EP. What is the current process on that? Have you guys recorded it yet, or is it in progress?
We are in and out of the studio literally after every show. We try to go in. So it's just getting in there. It's just doing it. And I don't know if they want to do 5 or 6, but I know we're getting close. We're getting close to being able to release it. We've got one song that just got done being recorded. We're about to go in, record a new song that we just wrote actually, and kind of throw it back and forth with the. I don't know if they consider him our producer or what, but he does a lot of stuff for us. He's a really sweet guy. His name's Alex Downtain in Atlanta. I think it's called Homegrown Studios. He's a super sweet dude. I would definitely check him out.
Yep.
I'll have to send you a link to his stuff if I can find it.
Absolutely.
But we're close. We're close to getting that done. We're all really excited. It should be early next year, hopefully. That's what we're hoping for.
And when you guys are recording, do you guys record all the stuff together, or do you do like the solo thing where you'll have the drummer record at one time and then you'll have the guitarist record at a different time? What is your guys' process like?
So typically, our guitarist, or one of our guitarists, Alex Norell, he does a lot of the writing, because he'll just sit at home and just come up with shit and like arrange it and then send it to us and be like, what do you guys think about this? And then we'll all work on it. But he does a lot of work I think he does it in GarageBand. I don't know what he's working with, but he'll just arrange some songs. So we'll have a demo before we even go into the studio. That way we have a foundation that we can work on. So everything's already there. We go in and just, I normally record first and everyone comes in after me. But I'm actually doing the drums at my house because I have all the equipment here to do it. So I'll just record live drums here alone with the demos that we make, send it out to them. Then I never even go in there. They just do all the guitars themselves.
I mean, even though you do sometimes have like backtracks to record so you know where to keep the beat, do you find it a little more difficult to when you're just performing by yourself than as opposed to, say, if you had the whole band in there to help you?
Not really. I actually perform a lot better just playing the tracks with my click tracks blaring into my ears at plus 12 dB. So it's never been a hassle.
And where can people find you guys? Are you guys on Spotify, iTunes, Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, we're on Spotify. You can find us at the Keepsake. Google MP3, Amazon Play. I don't know if we're on Pandora. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We don't have a Twitter. Don't mind me. And everything is at the Keepsake. I think Facebook is at the Keepsake Band.
Yeah. I'll definitely leave links to everything down below. And then when it comes to releasing your stuff, I mean, definitely give me a shout out next year before that stuff gets released, and I'd be more than happy to give you guys a shout out. I absolutely enjoy having that. And do you have any upcoming shows in the Georgia area that you'd like to talk about?
Oh, yes, we do. We are playing. Hang on, let me make sure this date is right, because I don't want to wrong anybody here. But it's in October. It's either the 27th or the 28th. I'm bad at remembering. Oh, shoot. It's not even my events. We will take a guess and say it's the 27th. I know it's a Saturday. But we're playing with Sarah and the Safe Word, who are some Atlanta locals. I think they label themselves as cabaret rock. They're super sweet people. I love them to death. They're a huge part of the Atlanta scene. And they're setting up a Halloween ball, basically, to have everyone come out to. It's a free show, and it's in a theater in Metro Atlanta. I don't know the theater name. I'll have to get it to you, so you can put it down in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll have all that information down below. And if you have any other shows, definitely let me know, and I'll like to plug it. I love doing that. And I mean, Bobby, it was really great having you on. It was great talking about your band. And again, you guys, the Keepsake. I highly suggest everyone look these guys up. They have some great music. I've listened to some songs myself. It's really, really some good stuff. And these guys have a bright future ahead of them. I mean, They have the drive and they have the direction. Oh, and I almost forgot. I like to ask these final two questions to every music guest that I have on. If someone were to walk up to you on the street and say, like, hey, I'm thinking about forming my own band. I have, like, kind of an idea. What would be the best piece of advice for him that you could give him in order to have his music be a success? Not by a success, I don't mean him becoming, like, super popular, but I mean just by like him enjoying it and him able to get a good experience out of it.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much stuff to tell someone like that. So I wouldn't be afraid to be stingy about the people you put in your project, and don't be afraid to, if the project isn't going anywhere, you feel like it's the people you're working with aren't working, don't be afraid to quit that. Don't be afraid to speak your mind and be unemotional, because as soon as you start forgetting that you're going into a business, you're going to stress, and you can't get like that. You're going to be stuck. So it's just super important to know where you want to go and have people that are going to support you, and keep toxicity out of your life, unless it's that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good song.
Yeah, it is a good song. So, and lastly, I normally ask people if they could talk to themselves 5 years ago, what best piece of advice would they give them musically? But I don't know if you were playing 5 years ago. Were you playing 5 years ago?
Oh, yep. Yes,
okay, good. So, if you could talk to yourself 5 years ago, what would be the best piece of advice musically that you would give your 5-year-old younger version?
Oh man, I would slap myself one. And there's so much I would want to tell myself.
I know, same year. I'd have like 10 pages full of stuff.
I would say to myself, stop trusting people so much, one, and practice harder. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of times where I look back where I could have been practicing a lot harder and be at a whole different level than where I'm at now and where I'm trying to be now.
Yep.
So it's super important to practice.
Absolutely, and that's one of the greatest lessons you can have on here. I've had so many guests come out and say that practice is the most important thing. Just turn that into muscle memory, basically, and then you won't have to worry about it so much, especially when you're performing live. And that's the best piece of advice that I could really give anyone out there, too. And again, you guys, Bobby from the band The Keepsake, go out and see them. Go out and look up their music. I highly recommend these guys. It was an honor having him on the show, and we wish them nothing but the best. You can find us on Tinder. Yeah, find him on Tinder as well.
Yeah.
Swipe right. You never know. He is married, but we'll keep it a secret, everyone.
It'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Well, you guys can work out a deal together. Send him Venmo him some money, and then stuff can turn out just fine. But yeah. So this is DD on the spot. Ryan Johnson signing out. Have a great day, everyone. All right.
Awesome.